Now we're going to go into the last of these interaction examples. And as you can see now, our Instagram app is already starting to look pretty convincing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit more detail. And we're going to start by saying, create a new screen. And we'll call this the contact list screen. And again, same as before, we can take an image that we have here in our assets as the basis. And we can resize our image to fit the screen. And just like before with the profile and home screens, we can go back to our home screen and create an interaction area over the messaging icon that is going to take us to the contacts. So adding a new interaction, we'll call it go to messages, go to screen, contact list, and we'll say, let's say slide left. So we now have two interaction areas. We have one here and one here, one to take us to the profile and one to take us to the messages. And then also on the contacts list, we have this back button here. So for good measure, we can also add an interaction area here. And that can take us back to the previous screen, which in our case is the home screen. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to add more. So let's say we're going to create a message screen. We'll go to the library here. We have a conversation here with our contact. And again, for good measure, can add an interaction area here that'll take us back to the contact list. And on the contact list, we also want to create a link to this message screen. So we can add an area here with another transition to go to this message screen. So we'll pause for a second just to see how this is behaving. So again, up and down scrolling, left and right scrolling, we can like, unlike, we can go to the profile, we can go to the home screen, and now we can tap on the messages icon to be taken to the contact list. That can send us back. And we can tap on our contact here to go to this message screen. So that's working as we would expect. So now what we want to do is we want to bring up the keyboard when somebody types here. So I'm going to add another interaction area. And then we're going to create a different state for our message screen, which we're going to call, so our first state will be called no keyboard. Our second state will be called has keyboard. And what we're going to do is, for this background, we're going to remove it. And we also can get rid of this here. And then we have another screenshot with our keyboard. You'll notice I left the interaction area here because when I put this in place, that is exactly where it is on this version as well. But obviously, because I've now added this to the top, I need to raise this interaction area so that it's over the top as well. And again, like before, what I want to do is I want to change it so that when I tap on this area here, I'm going to having a keyboard. We can see here that when we do that, it's going to bring in the keyboard. So again, we can save and we can go preview. Up and down, left and right, like and unlike, profile, home, contacts, message, keyboard, and back. So again, everything seems to be working. And now what I want to do is I want to add a sidebar menu. And as you can probably guess, it's pretty simple. There are often many ways to do the same thing as well. So don't feel that you have to copy this exactly. If you think a certain transition or animation looks better, that's where you can play around. But again, I have another background I can use, which I can drag and drop. And we'll call this sidebar. And this we get when we tap in the profile view on this area here. So we want an interaction area, put that there. And as you've probably seen, you can also associate certain elements like so. So I can actually drag this to here and it will go to the screen. And we want to well, let's just leave it for now, see how it looks. So I can go to the profile and bring out this here. Now, obviously that isn't particularly pretty, but I could make it better. And also we want to add on here another interaction area so that when we tap anywhere here, really, it is going to send us back to our profile screen. And while we're here, what we can do also is maybe try a different transition. So, and you can also see there's previews here, basically. We'll do a left. And for this, we'll do a right. So save and preview. Excellent. So we also have what we call an upside menu as well. So in this case, what happens is that when you click on your name here, it gives you the option to change your profile. So if you're viewing with one account, you can switch to another account. So as you can probably guess, you can add an interaction area here. And we can create a different version of this profile page. So we'll say profile 1 And let's say we create another one called Profile 2. Actually, no, let's not call it Profile 2, let's call it Profile Switcher. And for this one, basically, again, we already have an asset that we can use. So we can get rid of the background and drop in that asset here. You'll notice as well that we've kept the interaction layers, interaction elements as well, because in some cases we might actually want to keep them because they're in exactly the same place. So we can actually lower this asset here right the way down so that all of those interaction areas are appearing where you would expect them. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to go to the first state and I want to associate this interaction area with this state. And again, let's say change the screen state to profile. We can see a preview of what that'll look like. Too quick to see, unfortunately. And again, what we probably want to do is go to the second state, or the profile switcher rather. And in the profile switcher, what we want to do is move this so that we can select our particular profile and again associate that with the original state. So we now have something that is close to finished, and we can go to our preview and we can go back. So first of all, we have this screen, we have containers within the screen, we have containers within the containers, which is allowing us to do this vertical and horizontal scrolling. And we can use interaction areas to switch to different screens and switch back if we want to. We can also go to our messages and give the impression that we have a keyboard and go back. And we can also go to our feed here, and we can like something if we want to. We can go to our profile, we can bring up the side menu and go back. And if we want to switch our account, we can go here as well. So this is what you can accomplish in not that long. Obviously, you can add a lot more detail. You can be very particular about the transitions to get them how you would expect them to behave or how you want them to look. But even if you don't go to this trouble, you can still accomplish a great deal. And the last part we'll just cover here is that because we've created these containers and different elements, what we can do is we can reuse those assets in different formats. So if you wanted to create a version that works for the desktop, that's also possible. And without having to recreate the file or recreate the slide or what have you in another application, you can accomplish this with much of the same assets using the same techniques. And even though there are different applications out there, like Adobe XD and so forth, they will all probably follow very similar methodologies, which is having elements that can be built within or built upon using layers, and making these association between certain elements and certain transitions, and also having these different states that things can switch between. So hopefully that made a lot of sense. If not, feel free to ask us questions in the class, and feel free to reach out if you have any further things that you find difficult. As I said before, if you haven't signed up for a proto.io account, I would suggest it's a good idea. Once you've signed up, you can send me your details so we can get you an extension for the rest of the capstone project. For now, all I can say is have a play around, see what you can accomplish. I'm sure many of you can do a better job, and I'm sure also Instagram looks nothing like this anymore. It's probably gone through a few revisions since then. But hopefully this will give you everything you need to get started. Another thing is as well that on these slides, you will find links to videos that show how to do each of these specific steps if you don't want to go back and watch the entire video. But for now, that's all, and I will see you in class. Thanks.